Dot sisters and our friends across the globe. It is Shannon Crotty, founder and CEO of Polka Dot Powerhouse, here today with a rock star referrer interview and the one and only brilliant, amazing, totally popular in our community, Jen B. Hey, Jen.
Oh, hey Shannon, thank you. How does that like intro not make you smile?
I'll spoil you around all day.
uh,
Okay, we've got
Thank
so
you.
much excitement to talk about today, but for first off, I don't even know as much as I should know about you, and I think I know a little bit, but for those who might be new to the world of polka dot and you, tell us more who Jen B is.
Let's see. I don't know. Where do I start, Shannon? So I guess what I would say is that I'm a woman on a mission to turn my mess into my message. That's really where my business comes about. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. But ultimately, I think I'm going to just say I'm somebody who tries to be genuine, transparent, connective. Shannon, and I go deep quick. Okay, so you don't have to give me a lot of room to talk.
Yeah,
But growing up for me, a sense of belonging was a really tough thing. Both of my parents are immigrants. My father was incarcerated. I lost him at 18. He was incarcerated in Cuba for his political views. So like ultimately the sense of community, like that's what gets me up in the morning because
yeah.
I know what it's like not to have some of that. So super like that's who I am. Ultimately, I'm somebody who just tries to show up and build connections.
Right. You do that in a big way, and we're going to talk about that. Tell us more about your dot story, how you found polka dot, when you
Yeah.
joined.
How funny do you want me to be?
Oh,
Okay, so this is depending on who's listening to the story. This is what I'll say. I
okay.
actually learned about dots in a bedroom. Okay, not that kind of way. But here's what happened. I actually ended up going to a networking group that I had never been back again. So I do believe that nothing happens by coincidence. So hence my path was meant to be here.
Right.
And so I met the amazing Anita Stevens, who's part of the Westminster, Colorado chapter, just like I am. And we had this really awkward networking event where it was actually in a house that was over 100 years old.
Okay.
So there were, I want to say 50 to 70 of us who showed up. And so what ended up happening is that this house had a ton of rooms, bedrooms, living rooms, all these tiny little rooms. And so to make space, we all kind of took over all the space. And so the first time I ever heard about this, it was with Anita, and I was in the small bedroom with her. And I was like, so I just left corporate America. Don't know what the heck I'm doing. And you just seem like somebody safe to talk to. So she told me what she did, and she invited me to Speed Connect. That happened in our chapter on January 16th of 2023. Nobody's counting. And that's really where my life started to change. And Mandy McGowan will tell you that before she said, here's the place to sign up, I was like, how do I get in? So that's my dot story. And it came at a perfect time when, again, I was trying to get my footing and what it's like to be an entrepreneur and lead a successful business.
Mhm.
And my dot sisters have had me the
Yeah.
entire way, like emotionally, spiritually, business wise, like every way.
And I love that. Who's going to say, maybe other people have, but they're not going to say, I heard about it in a bedroom. That's new. I love how you show up. And, we talk about this. I talked about it at Celebration last year, but dots provide you a reflection. We don't provide sisterhood, support, encouragement, none of that. We only provide reflection. So, and we're going to talk more about this because to me, this is what everyone needs to hear. When you show up and you are your authentic self, as amazing as you are, everybody has an amazing authentic self, and you jump in the deep end, don't know how to swim, but okay, I'm going. And you let us get to know you, let us support you. You trust us with what you're trying to accomplish. You trust us with
Right.
letting us celebrate with you. You trust us with that vulnerability. Like, that's when magic happens. And it's so
Absolutely.
simple. And yet it's just so hard for people to wrap their brain around.
I mean, for me personally, I just don't know how to do it any other way. Especially with the sisterhood. I mean, yeah, I've had tough moments as an entrepreneur. You got all kinds of things when you leave corporate America, and I've cried. I've literally picked up the phone, hoping that somebody would answer on the other side, right? And cried to this individual, and I'm gonna say individuals because there's been multiple of these, and it's like there's no judgment,
Right.
there's safety, and I'm gonna also say there's a kick in the pants when you need it.
Right.
Because, and so that's what I'm after, Shannon, and that's why I've been so passionate about sharing the community with everybody, because it's so easy for me to talk to because I've lived it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some exciting things that you have accomplished. Was it 23?
That 2023 that I became a dot sister?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Time flies. I'm a horrible judge of time.
you're good.
Yeah. But okay, so a couple of exciting things have happened, and it's not by chance and it's not by luck, but let's talk about a few of them.
Mhm.
For one, you recently hit Rockstar refer status, and that's what this interview is supposed to be about, but there's just so much to talk about with you, Jen, that like, okay, we
Thank
may
you.
or may not talk too much about it. And then today, at the time of this filming, which is August the 20th, 2024, we announced our award nominees for annual celebration. And you were nominated in Extraordinary Dot Supporter. And when we were telling the nominations, the description of the dot supporter was like, you know what, we have other nominees. So whomever may win this is worthy of it and is appreciated. But girl, if you were going to get nominated for a category, this is the category.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor. There's, what is it now, Shannon? 3,000 of us.
Yeah.
And I know it's the celebration, but there's still like hundreds of us there.
400. Yeah.
I think, and again, I'm gonna go deep for a second. I think the thing for me is, yes, I'm super competitive. Okay. Like give Jen a goal and watch out. I'm just gonna say that. And the reason why is because I tend to gamify things and play with things and make fun with things. And like now that I get to be an entrepreneur, like listen, I can go have all the fun in the world. And when I believe in something, I believe in it something and deeply.
Yeah.
So yes, I was competitive. Yes, there was a number I had in mind. Yes, there were days where I felt like maybe I couldn't, maybe I couldn't. But when it's part of you and what you believe in, like it wasn't about a number of dot sisters in the community. Does that make sense? It was just about sharing a message and whoever it related to, related to. And when the question came about how do I learn more, it's like, well, I'm going to this meeting at this time, or I've got this dot sister in Denver who's leading meetings at this time. Let's plug you in. And again, my, as far as a refer, like I can definitely make the invite, which is great, right? We need folks to make invites. And I encourage every single sister to make an invite to someone. And it also takes the community because the meeting that you walk into will set the tone for that dot sister to join or not. The meeting of the leader will set the tone for the dot sister to join or not. So ultimately, I just see myself as a little part of the wheel because it takes all of us, right? And it leads with a story in my perspective.
Yeah. So what I don't have it in front of me, but I think you posted at one point how many links so just in case you're new to this, members have to hit 12 refers between September 1 and September 1 to earn this status. Lots of people do a great job and they come close, but very few do this, right? Because one of the things I think people say is, well, I sent out 12 links. 12 links isn't probably going to do it.
Right. So going back, so last year, again, I joined DOTS in January 16th. And so by this point, like the program was well underway.
Yeah.
And I got to 9. And I was, that was cool, right? Like 9 was cool. Like referring 9 people to change their lives, referring one person to change their life, that's cool, right? And ultimately for me, it just became a thing of, again, it's telling a story. And I know enough people and I connect with enough people and I talk to enough people that are like, yeah, I'm going to that meeting for the dots, or this dot sister did this for me. What's a dot? Well, this is a dot. What do you mean that's a dot? Yeah, that's a dot. You want to learn more? Like it ends up being this very playful conversation. And so probably close to 200 links. It's a numbers game, but that's, and I do believe also that like for every one of those links, while it might not have led to a referral, like those were 200 interactions
Right.
that I had with someone to hopefully leave them with that one nugget. And maybe it's not today, maybe it's next year that they join, right? So
Right.
just work the numbers, y'all.
Yeah. And it's refreshing. I always want our dot sisters, and some will and some won't, to see themselves as co-architect, right? I know a lot of great people, but if the sisterhood is only people Shannon Crotty knows or the local leader knows, it's not going to be this robust, there's a
Mhm.
dot for that community that it is. And there's a lot of people, and I think this is just simply because they haven't looked at it a different way. A lot of people, that's my managing director's job. And so they don't ever refer, or they say, ooh, this is my little secret place, and I don't want anybody else infiltrating this place. What do you think about those two things?
Well, number two, I'm gonna go there first. I'm a big fan
Yeah.
of a party. And the more people I know, the more fun it is. Okay, number one, okay, so here's what I say to this, and I've actually had this conversation with before with other folks, right? So I've had people come to me and say, like, Jen, help me understand this. How'd you get to 12? Or I've had, leaders come to talk to me about it. So here's the thing. If the dot sisterhood has given you one thing, has made you smile, has given you a hug, somebody's lifted you up, somebody became a client. I know that's not what we're all about, but we have businesses to run as well. If anybody did anything for you, it was called a dot sister. I think for me, it's a place of paying it forward.
Yeah.
And I also know that if somebody hadn't invited that sister that helped and lifted me up, I might not have received that gift.
Right.
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 So that's where I lead from. It's a sense of like, and I get it. And sometimes, I understand it's like our community, it's our safe place. We get to be vulnerable here. Like, it's just, I want this to be my container. I get that point of view. I also think that a community of one is very lonely.
Yeah.
And the way to build community is through invitation. And so for me, Shannon Dots has given me so much. For all of us, it's giving us a whole ton. So it's my ability to pay it forward. It's our ability to do that.
Right.
It takes all of us.
Absolutely. And I think too, and this is not like attaching this to a person that may have said that. It's a difference between an abundance and a scarcity mentality. Like, I'm the only one who can
Oh,
have, as opposed to that all energy, you know, replicates and impacts us all. And we're either surrounded by power and goodness, or we're in this tiny box trying to protect this little tiny piece we have.
yeah. So part of what I'll share is, and we're talking about abundance and we're talking about business, right? So, like, for example, I'm a life coach, I'm a business coach, right? If you look around the room, you're going to find more of me. There's going to be more life coaches and business coaches, but I do ultimately believe that there's only one Jen, right? And I do ultimately believe that there's only certain clients that will be able to get Jen, and some clients won't be able to get Jen.
Right.
And I still want them to be served. So I hope they talk to, all my other dot sisters who do similar work.
Right.
And I think that's a mentality of me. And what's really interesting is I don't believe that giving and receiving is linear. So if I give you something, doesn't mean you have to give me something back. But I do believe it pays it forward. I do believe there's an energy around it. And so hence the more I show up and the more willing I am to share, not because there's something at stake, just because it's heartfelt, the more I'll come back right back to you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get it. I understand the abundance and scarcity, because honestly, I've been part of other networking groups where it's like one of these. I'm like, that's a freaking lonely networking group. No wonder there's only 15 of us, not 3,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Lead from the heart and the right people will find you.
Absolutely. And there's so many amazing groups, and it depends on your objective. But I was talking with another dot sister today about, if you have an army of women that are with you through all the parts of life, and you know that you have the safety net there, you know that if you fail, you got lots of people picking you up, if you
Mhm.
if you succeed, you have lots of people to come celebrate with you during the different ins and outs of life. And you don't have to like say, wait, okay, I'm out of that group, so I can't have these friends. And you don't have to waste your mental energy trying to sort who goes
Right.
where in your life. You just have people. Then you don't have to worry about those other things. You just have people who love, support you, celebrate with you, sometimes call you on your bullshit, like whatever that
Yeah,
is. You just have the people. To me, it's way less mental energy that I'm spending on that I can spend to be in zone of genius.
absolutely. Yeah, again, it's kind of a play on my name. Just be y'all. People will find you. The right people will find you. But yeah, and the other networking groups that I've been a part of, like they didn't feel this personal. And so, one of the things I do believe as well is that when we are like centered in who we are, know who we are, authentic, lead authentically and vulnerably, like that's where the business comes. It does not come necessarily from leads and referrals,
Right.
right? Especially those that you have to come with. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to name Dot Sisters. You probably know who you are, who I've cried to on the phone, who I was just like, I don't know what the heck I did in 2023. That was a bad decision. And yet they said, keep going, Jen. And I said, okay, I guess if you believe, I will believe in me. And can I call out a Dot Sister?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Mandy McGowan for me has been more than a. I mean, honestly, and the other one I'll say is Elizabeth Williams. Both of these women know me very well, and they know all the ins and outs. And but that's the thing. I had to show up.
Yeah.
I had to show up vulnerably, and so they both have done things for me that have led me to grow my business as quickly as it has and create as many relationships and connections. I
Right.
will never be able to pay them back. But when a 7 year, and I don't remember Elizabeth how long she's been around, but when they're around for this long and they believe in you and they've been doing business, you're like, well, I guess if somebody like that believes in me, then I'll believe in myself just for a little bit.
Right.
So they've been amazing sisters. Many others, but those are the two that literally have seen me in
Yeah.
some tough spots.
And that I think that we need to, no one wants to be a part of drama. We're no drama. Not to say drama is not happening, but we're just not going to sit in it and let it ruin our energy. And no one wants to hear someone air their dirty laundry all the time. But I think more people need to hear that, yes, they heard me crying. And there's days I was crying because I think what really stifles the spirit of trying to go after your dreams is watching on social media the highlight reel
Yep.
and thinking these people never cry. These people never, like, we need to be more honest about the fact that there are equal amount of days. I mean, there's other days I'm celebrating, and sometimes I'm walking the tightrope between sheer terror and total exhilaration. And one email, one client, one call can
Yep.
push me this way or that way. Like, that is what it is to be a human. That is what it is to be a person that has even, that's what it still means to be, have self-confidence and believe in yourself and love in yourself. It is not shiny all the time.
Absolutely. We end up with this game of comparison, and the comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been through some stuff, and I'm not afraid to share it because I know other women have been through similar things. Maybe not the same, but similar things.
Yeah.
And when that moment happens of you're not alone or me too, like that is magic.
Yeah.
That's where we stop just living life and we become, right? We become a community. We don't just go through the motions, but we feel the things. And on some days, Shannon, it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
It's fine. So yeah, anywho,
Yeah.
we went deep quick, didn't we?
Girl, I don't know that you and I, like, we share a lot of things. Like, we both have fathers that were, or at least my father was in and out of incarceration. Your father was in, like, we share a lot of commonalities. And I think one of the things that we share, at least from my vantage point, is that ask me anything. I'm an open book because that's the only way that I can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I mention something I mention often to women, and I kind of keep this, it's something you mentioned when you were here for the event. What was it called? More of me.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a powerful statement, and I probably have repeated it at least a dozen times now. Okay. And I think it just gave me really good perspective. And when I shared it, I feel like it enlightens the room. I remember you said, and it was just towards the end, you said something along the lines of look around the room. 90% of the women in this room, like I think you started 10% of the women in this room, like you're not their cup of tea,
Right.
right? You're
You're
not
champagne.
going to be. What was
Yeah.
that?
You're champagne. But
Right.
yeah.
Okay. And so then the other 90%, they're going to love you. They'll love you just as you are. They love you authentically with your superpowers and with all your faults and all the things. I thought, how freaking amazing is that? Because so often we try to win the 10% at the 90% sacrifice.
Right.
And so again, regardless of what you've been through, what your path has been, whatever story you have, like there are sisters in this room who will be able to connect with you.
Absolutely. And I think we're chasing that 100% ratio, which is just not possible. And I think sometimes when you just know, look, it might be 10%, and they don't even know why they don't like me. They just got a feeling I said something weird to them. There's probably not even any basics there, but it's there. But if I know that and I'm no longer chasing 100, I'm simply focusing on the 90.
Right. Yeah,
It's much easier to see the reflection that they are trying to shine upon me.
absolutely. And to take it a little further, I'd say focus on the 100 because the person has to live with you, breathe, do all the things
Yeah.
with you, wake with you, go to bed with you is you,
Right.
right? So when we're good here, the rest will follow. We don't have to chase, right? So good.
Absolutely. So what would you tell someone that is like, why is sisterhood important?
Well, if you've ever felt alone, you understand what the power of, yeah, I mean, for sure. I think I've probably, honestly, if I look back, probably felt alone in different parts of my life till probably my 30s. I mean, some of you might know I'm a crazy college football fan. I went to the University of Florida, go Gators. Okay. The reason why I'm so passionate about that is because it's community.
Right.
It's people who get you. It's people you don't have to like fight for them to show up. They just get you, right?
Right.
And so for me, sisterhood is again that place of belonging and connection and come as you are and what is your bad day and let's lift each other up. And so sisterhood is important for those reasons. Um, as parents, as business owners, as whatever it is that we have going on in our life, many times we have to stuff things.
Right.
Can't have somebody look at that, or I can't, share that about what's going on in my home or whatever the case may be. Like that's what sisterhood is like for me. Now, does that happen with every single individual? No, I think you find your select sisters you feel comfortable with and really close with,
Right.
but ultimately, there's just power in every sister, and that's kind of my mindset. I love when you say, Shannon, that Tina has brought you every one of these sisters. And I think you mentioned at some point that there's a little nugget in each sister
Right.
that helps them to be here, right? Like they were brought to you for a reason. And I understand that Tina is part of the reason why, or a big reason why we have Polka Dot Powerhouse.
Right.
What I would venture out to say is that Tina has also gifted us all to each other,
Yes.
right? So that's where sisterhood comes in.
The thing,
And
go
yeah,
ahead.
and I'm gonna say this is again why I'm so darn passionate about us sharing the gift with other people who don't know about us. What
Right.
was it?
When you're trying to cover yourself and keep warm, one little cotton fiber is not going to do it, but all of the
Right.
fibers that it makes to make a warm blanket is quite comfy, right? And I
Mhm.
always think of all the dots, past and present, as having woven one of the fibers in this big blanket that we call sisterhood. And like you said, you have ones that you connect with better than others. You have some that become very integrated in your life, and other ones that you're just waving to at an event or something, right? But they all are so important because they all bring something else to the table.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah, it's crazy. I came in fast, I will tell you, for the for dots, but it's like when there's a good thing,
Yeah.
I just didn't know what other way to show up other than to do more of the good thing.
Well, that's really one of the many, many things we love about you, Jen, is
Thank you.
you are unapologetically you, and you are so loved in our community. I'm not even sure how we functioned or knew who we were before you
Well,
came here. So
thank you, Shannon. I appreciate that.
awesome. Tell people, because now I know what's going to happen now. They were listening to this interview, but they're like, Jen Beach, I got to look this girl up. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm usually all things Facebook, right? And LinkedIn. So I am Jen B, B-E-E, the thing that buzzes. Long story short, don't believe there's coincidences. B was my undercover HR name because I didn't want to be found by people that I had to have difficult conversations with. And grow goes with bees. And I'm just gonna say there's some credit out there in the universe for some dot sisters who helped all that connect as well. So Gen B on Facebook, then it's Grow with Gen B on my website. I'm a big fan of paying it forward through workshops and things like that. So you'll see all that on my website. But other than that, literally you're going to see me at a meeting. You're going to see me at celebration. You're going to see me as the girl on social media on the Polka Dot boards because again, it takes all of us to build the community. And so let's go share from the heart. Let's go have connections. Let's go have coffee. And I will also say I love meeting dots outside of Colorado. I've only been to like 20 some states. So help me experience the 20 some other states if you're part of one of those. But it's been really cool to have dot sisters in places I've never even laid my head. So
I love that. Yeah, it's
yeah.
so true. Like every person's got to utilize the community the way they see best, and that can change over time. But if you are only using a local component, you are only using a fraction of your membership because there are 3,000 dot sisters. Like, look outside your door. There's a line. You better send out some cookies or something.
Right.
They're waiting on you, and they're not all like. There's a lot of power in local and being in person, but there's also a great amount of power in making your world bigger, right? So, yeah,
Absolutely. So
awesome.
cool. Yeah. And then I'm on Instagram every once in a while, but it's not usually my jam. I think it's more your jam, Shannon.
It's more visual. I'm a visual person, so it's more visual, I think, but I'm on both a little bit. Yeah, but I've seen you inching your way over there, girl. So she's all
Cool.
the places. She's all the places. Thank you so much, Jen. It's been a great time today. I appreciate you.
Absolutely appreciate you too. Go get it, Dot Sisters. Pay it forward.
Awesome. We will be back soon with another interview, but until then, find joy, seek sisterhood, and know that we are